So we are looking at this keyword. The way this works in regular function like this is different from the way it works in arrow function like this. In regular function, this depends on where it is being called upon. Now, for regular, if you're inside the regular function and you say console like this, in this case, this refers to the window object. The window object is a big object that has a lot of methods and properties in it. Let's call on my func. Like this. This is the window object. Inside this, we have these properties. You see your alerts, your set timeout, your set interval, they are inside this place. If I come here to say this dot alert hello, it's going to alert hello. I can say, let me remove this console log part. It's already alerting me before I get to the browser. You can see we have hello here. We have the hello here. So this is the window object. The window object is a big object in JavaScript, right? That has a lot of other things inside it. So if you're inside the regular function like this and you call on this refers to the window object. Any question before we proceed?
No question, sir. No question.
Okay. Let's proceed. Now we're going to create an object. This is an object. Inside this object, I can say name assign type. Let's come here to say function. Okay, someone is using up. Okay, Zainab Titilayo. Zainab Titilayo, I think you are using up your hand. Okay, maybe it's a mistake. So we have a function like this. I'll say hi. I'll just call it say hi. If we say my func, we are saying that my func should be this say I. Say I. That is, pass this to this. Now, if you are confused about what is happening here, let me quickly digress a bit so that you understand what we are doing there very well. If I have function A like this, hey, here is a function. JavaScript allows us to assign a function to a variable. What JavaScript will do is that it will take this function and assign it to B. It is not going to call on function A. It will only assign the value of A to B so that B now becomes a function. When you get to the browser, you will not see, it's not going to log this to the console because you've not called on the function. To call on a function, you need to put this parenthesis at the front. If this parenthesis is not at the front, you are not calling on that function. If I say alert hi, when you get to the browser, you will not see I because we've not called on the function. There's nothing in the console here, and there's no alerts because we've not called on the function. Before you call on the function, JavaScript allows you to put this parenthesis. But what we just did is that we take the value of A, which is a function, we place it inside B, such that B now becomes a function also. Now, if I so wish, I can now call on B, because the value of A is now the value of B, making B a function. I can now trigger B. When I trigger B like this, it is going to call on B. That is why we now have this. Any questions so far? Do you get what you just explained?
No question. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, clear.
Let's proceed.
Yes.
Alright, thank you. Now, having done that, now we can go back to what I was explaining. So what we are doing here is that we are taking the value of say I, we are passing it to my func. We are not calling on say I, we are only passing the value of say I to my func. Right. So if I come here and say console log this, if I say obj dot say I, obj dot say I, what this is going to do is that obj is the one calling on say I. Sorry, someone is about to join. You are welcome. Obj is the one calling on say I. So inside that place, this will refer to obj. Do we get it? Remember I said the value of this in regular function depends on where it is being called or how it is being called. Because obj is the one calling on say I, inside this, oh sorry, what am I doing? Obj dot my func. I'm sorry. Obj dot my func. So I'm calling on this method my func, and the value is say I. So inside this place now, this will refer to this object obj. Obj is the one calling on my func. So inside this place now, this will refer to obj. It is like saying, this is similar to doing something like this. My func. We've done, when we did object, we did something like this. Console log this dot name. This is going to give me taye. If I say obj dot my func, this will give me taye. It's the same approach here also. Alright, it's the same approach here. So inside my func, because obj is the one calling on my func, so and the value of my func is this function, so inside this place now, this will refer to the obj that is calling on my func. Do we understand, or are we lost?
I'm kind of lost in my func.
Okay. My func holds this value. To understand it, let's go back to the initial example. Look at something that we're going to do. I want to ask us, if I say console log b, what do you think we'll say? Hello?
Hello, sir. What did you say?
If I say console log b, what do you think we will say?
We say function.
So what it will do is that you assign this function to b. So b now becomes a function.
A. Yes.
Look at what
I am a function A.
this is the function itself. Oh, come back here. This is the function itself that we assign there. It is here to call on the function. Are we getting it? It is just the function definition that is being placed inside b, like the body of the function. It's like saying, this is like saying let b equals to everything here, like this. This is like saying let b equals to function this. Do we get it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It will take the value of a and put it inside b, such that b now becomes a function that is yet to be triggered. B becomes a function that is yet to be triggered.
Okay.
So whenever I want to run the codes inside that function, I can now trigger b just by putting parentheses at the front of b. So it is going to trigger b and run the codes inside b. Remember, b is the things inside this function, like it's the body of the function now. So when I put b, then it's going to trigger b and run the codes inside of b. It's the same approach here, or similar approach here. In this in this case, so please let's mute our mic. Let's mute our mic. Okay.
Split, sir, split.
Alright. So let's move on. Someone wants to join. I can't see the view. Okay. You are welcome to class. So it's the same concept here that we are using here. What you are doing here is that we are keeping everything inside this function as the value of my func, such that when we say obj.myfunc, it will be able to run the code inside the function myfunc, which is now this. Do we get it?
Okay. Split.
So that's why we have this. This is the value of this. So that now makes it possible for me to say this.name. Since this is obj, remember obj is the one calling on my func. So this inside this place will refer to obj. I can say this.name. That will give me Taye. Let's move on. I can adjust this code a little bit. I can say that let var equals to obj.myfunc. What I'm just doing is that I'm assigning the value of my func to var. Remember, my func is now a function, right? Do you get it? My func,
yes, sir,
is taking the value of say hi. So I'm now assigning that function also to var. I didn't put parentheses at the front, meaning that it will not trigger the function. It will not. So I'm assigning that. If I come here and trigger var, this, in this case, inside var, this will refer to the window object. It will not refer to obj again. This will refer to the window object, in this case, the window object. So it's still the same function. We just assign it to a variable, like to another variables. We are not calling it using obj again. In this case, this refers to the window object. If this is a bit confusing, give me a minute, I'll make clarification on this. Now look at this approach. I'll copy this here. I'll put it here. So look at this part. Var equals to obj.myfunc. That is, I'm assigning this to var. If I trigger var like this, you expect that this here should be what's it called, to be obj. But in this case, this will not refer to obj. This will refer to the window object because of where it is being triggered. What determines the value of of this is what is calling on that function. If obj is the one calling on that function, if I say obj.myfunc, this will refer to obj. But since obj is not the one calling on that function, the function is standing on its own, this will refer to the window object. And that's why you have the window object here. Any question? So in regular function, the value of this depends on the location where the function is being triggered, where it is being called upon. Still on regular function. Let's look at one more thing. Please, question. So if I say obj.myfunc, I'm asking us now, what will this give us?
I have a question.
Okay, you can ask.
Sorry, I'm just a bit confused. The part where you are calling that var as a function, is it because we store a function to it. That's why we are calling it as a function. Because I don't get that part.
Exactly. It's because you've stored a function inside of it. So it has become a function on its own also. And that's why we can call on we can trigger it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So if I say obj.myfunc, what will this give us? I think we've seen it, but based on what I've explained, please, what do you think this will give us? We've done something like this over and over again. Please, what will this give us?
It will give us the Windows properties.
Okay, why will it give us the window objects?
Because that obj.myfunc is the assigned attribute that is carrying whatever we have in our methods. If you observe our console.log there, that is indicating the Windows properties.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Who has a contrary opinion?
I don't know if this is correct, but I just want to try. Okay, so for me, I think the obj.myfunc should return the name Tai.
Okay, thank you for your contribution. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, if we run this code, remember obj is the one calling on this method. Because it is calling on it, this here we refer to obj. Do we get it? So this here we refer to the whole objects. If I now want to extract name out of it, I can say dot name. So that will give me taye. But if I just say this refers to obj, which is the whole objects. Do we understand? Obj is the one calling on my func, which is that method. So this, in this case, we refer to the obj that is calling on my func. Any question? That's why we have this object here. This is the whole object. If I want to see the name, I can now say dot name. Do we get it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now let's play with this a bit. If I have JavaScript allows us to put a function inside another function, and it allows us to put a function inside a method. So I can call this third. Let's use the S5 function third console log. This is the third. Sorry, I just put this in. Let's just say console log this. I'm inside this function and I'm calling on this. Let's say third like this. So what happens is that when I say obj.myfunc, it will run the codes here, or the codes inside the method. Inside this method, we define the function and we automatically immediately call on the function third. So you see this inside this place, because this third, third is the one that owns this console log this, right? Please, are you getting it?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And it is not like we say maybe it's an object dot third. So when you call on third like this here will refer to the window object, not to obj, because of where you are calling on that method that is calling on this. What happens is that it asks you how the method that is calling, or the function, let me put it like this, the function that is calling on this, which is third, is there anything attached to it? There's nothing attached to it. So in this case now, this inside this function will refer to the window object. So that's why we have this window object here.
Okay.
So it's not going to refer to obj, even though inside this place, this is still, if you say console log this here, inside this place, this at this point refer to obj, because I'm calling on this inside my func. Inside is my func. And when I say obj.myfunc, because obj is the one calling on my func, this here will refer to obj. But inside this third, when I call on third here like this here will refer to the window object. Do we get it? This is obj and this is the window objects. Any question on that part before we now go to ES6 function, the arrow function? Okay, let's now go to arrow function. Now, this is what we just explained. It's a lot of problem, or it used to be a lot of problem, because sometimes inside this function like this, you may want to use this function, you may want to make use of it inside this third. And because this here refer to the window object and not to obj, how do we do it? Then we used to do something like this. We create a variable, we call it that. We say that equals to this. So we quickly save the value of this in a variable like this, like that, such that you can now say that console log that. So since you've saved this in a variable and you now say console log that, that will now refer to obj. You've quickly saved this. Since at this point this is still obj, so save it in a variable such that inside this function now you can display it. So that will give you the object. It used to be like this, but with arrow function this problem was solved. It was solved. Let's see. Another solution, instead of using that, you can bind there. You can read on the bind. Click on this. Bind, apply. There are three. Bind, apply, and there's still one. You can read on this. This is to be another solution also to the problem. But with arrow function, we don't need to disturb ourselves. Let's see how arrow function works with this. The value of this inside an arrow function, right, is the value of this inside the parent of the arrow function. What do I mean? If you have an arrow function, and you say console like this, all you need to ask yourself is that, what is the value of this inside the parent of this arrow function? Whatever the value of this is inside the parent of this arrow function will also be the value of this inside the arrow function. It's as simple as that. Just ask yourself, inside the parent of this arrow function, what is the value of this? Whatever it is, then it will also be the value of this inside that arrow function. That makes our work so easy. So let's bring back this example. I will change this now, remove this part. I will change this to an arrow function. So when you call on third, this is the function third. What is the value of this inside the parent of function third? So the parent is my func, this method my func. So whatever the value of this is inside this method myFunc will also be the value of this inside this function third. Do we get it?
Come again, sorry.
Inside this function third, you are calling on this, right? And we define it using an arrow function. All we need to now ask is, what is the value of this inside the parent of that function? The parent of this function is my func, Abina. Please, are we getting it? Third, So whatever the value of this is inside this my func will also be the value of this inside this arrow function. So when you have an arrow function, just ask yourself, what is the value of this inside the parent of this arrow function? Whatever the value of this is there will also be the value of this inside the arrow function. So the parent of third is my func. So whatever this is, if here, if this here refers to obj, the whole object, that means inside this function third, which is an arrow function, this will also refer to obj. Do we get it?
Yes, sir.
So when you call on third now, it will refer to obj. And that is why we have the whole object here like this. This makes, I think in the JavaScript textbook, I did something like this. Let's, students, is an array. Let's say Peter, James, and John. So here I'll remove this part. We want to look at the difference between a regular function and arrow function using this example. If I'm using a regular function, if I say this dot students, remember if I call on obj.myFunc, it will call on this. This here refer to obj, so I can still say this dot students dot for each, because it's an array. You can use for each. Inside for each takes a callback like a function. You can choose to use an arrow function or a regular function, and whichever you use will affect your results. Let's go for regular function first. So for each of them, I want to display this name. Console log this dot name. So ordinarily, this should display name 3 times. But remember I told you that inside this function, you are like, this is a regular function like this. In a regular function, just say it like this. Let's separate this out. This is a regular function. So it depends on where this regular function is being triggered. And this for each is the one that is calling on this regular function internally. I come again. This for each is the one calling on this regular function internally. So in that case, this here will refer to the window object. Inside this function now, this will refer to the window object. You won't be able to get this tile inside of it. It will not work. It will not work. So you can see it's not giving us anything. Let's say school. Let's allow tech. Like this. This will not work. Undefined 3 times. Undefined. But change this to an arrow function. Sorry. Like this. Change this to an arrow function and you get this dot school, because the parent of this, whatever the value of this is inside the parent, will also be the value of this inside this arrow function. And this here now will refer to obj. And with that, you can get the school out of it. And that's why we have loud tech, loud tech, loud tech. So the point is just that arrow function allows, this inside an arrow function is the value of this inside its parent. Why this inside the regular function depends on where the function is being called upon. So if it is called upon with an object like this, if you say obj dot, you call on the function, this will refer to obj. But if it is called upon as a standalone function, this refers to the window objects. Now, question before we round off. Classwork. That's info equals to let's say department, computer science, function show department, console log this dot department, display department equals to show department info display department. So what will this give us if I run this code? What will this give us? Will it give us computer science? Will it throw an error? Will it give us undefined? What will it give us? Computer science. I had someone say computer science. We have computer science. Good.
That's science.
Good. Thank you. So that gives us computer science. If I have this, what will this give us?
Everything in function show department. This dot will give us function. It will write function show department console dot log.
Oh, no. It give us undefined. Give us undefined. We are calling on the function. You trigger the function here. Because whenever you trigger a function, what you are saying is that go and do whatever you have inside that function. And for that, it will run the codes here. But because there is no object attached to it when we are calling on that function, so this here will refer to the window object. And the window object does not have department on it, so there is no way it can get department. That will give us undefined. Do you get it?
Yes.
That would have been totally different if you have console log. If you have console log form like this, that would have given us what you said. It would have been given us this function, this. Which other example should we look at? Okay, let's put one here. Let's say cast show department equals to, just copy this. So that this department, and I call on show department this. I can remove this now. You can see info dot display department. So what will this give us? Oh, I was console for you. What will this give us?
Give us computer science.
Okay, can you explain why it will give us computer science?
Because everything that the value of the parents, the value of the parent function is the value of the inner function, of the arrow function.
Okay, the value of this inside the parent function is also the value of this inside the inner function, inside the function. So thank you. The value of this inside this method is the value of this inside this function. And for that reason, since this is info inside this method, that means inside this place, this we also refer to info. That's why we have computer science. So I think you've been able to do some justice to this in JavaScript. Thank you so much. So it's been an interesting time with us, teaching us JavaScript. Now, nobody can finish JavaScript. There are still some other things that we still did not look at. There are still, in fact, a lot. And we've also looked at a lot also. We covered a lot, but still have a lot that we didn't look at. And even if you look at it for your own 1 year, we still will not cover everything. At this point, I'm still learning JavaScript. So what I will advise is please keep developing yourself, keep learning more. And if you have questions, you can reach out with maybe you are learning something you do not get, you can reach out. I can create maybe 1 or 2 minutes or some time with us and maybe iron it up. But generally, I think we've covered a lot of things. Thank you very much. Now we are putting out a UI UX. We've done React.js in this free training session, and this is we're rounding off JavaScript. Now we want to move to backend. So before going to backend, we are putting out a UI UX and a front end design competition. If you want to participate, you can. At the moment, the amount to be won is 100,000 naira, and we are hoping to increase the stake to 1 million naira later. But for this, at this moment, the amount is 100,000 naira. You can participate to what's it called? In order to practice what you've learned and the like. So the backend training starts by 4th of July. It will be interesting. And also, if you have no knowledge of programming, you can join the backend class. It's for everybody. But then you need some bit of knowledge of HTML. That is all you need to know. If you have knowledge of HTML, you can join the backend class, and you will cope with it very well. Thank you very much. Question? If you have anything to say, can we? If you have anything to say, you have the floor.
Sir, thank you so much. We really appreciate
You're welcome.
your efforts and your time. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. All right.